themselves tonight because, this morning, I apologize, because they're an online student here at UAT. However, this has in no way degraded from the work that they've been doing for us, so I can't let it go unrecognized. The Norse Hub was entirely handed off to Rhiannon so that they could do the best work that they could possibly do, and they did exactly that. After many iterations, they were able to capture the feel of an early Norse settlement on the coast, creating a relaxing and chilly town for the players to build up and fight for. Now, none of this could have happened were not for the help of our wonderful artists. So I'd like to introduce you all to Steven, our art lead, so that he can talk about the work that him and his team have been doing.
Hello, I'm Steven Smetny, and with my time being on Life or Death, I've created most of the armor pieces for the main character and also the blacksmith clothes. And most recently, I've worked on this Japanese armor along with the new arena and arena props. And then I also made a weapon in my spare time. And I'll pass it over to Naomi.
Hi, my name is Naomi. I'm a recent Life or Death weapon artist. So while I've been on this team, I've created the digital weapon line. I unwrapped, modeled, and textured using 3ds Max and Substance Painter. I started from basic materials using steel and wood to iron and gold. During this time, I worked alongside Tyler.
Hello everyone, I'm Tyler Harper, artist. Over the course of this game, I've created a range of axes to swords, and then most recently the comma. Since we were doing a rarity system, I did the intermediate, the final, and the exotic. I've also done the braziers that you can see in the arenas, and then I've also textured Stephen's bridge. I'll pass it on to Stan.
Hello everyone, I am Stanley Albert, and I've been with this team for quite some time now. When I first started off, by making the actual first arena, as well as making various weapons and shops inside of that area. But more recently, I've actually made the modular building pieces for the Japanese hub, and then I'll be passing it off to them.
Hello everyone, my name is Brenda Nahara. This is my first semester on the Life or Death team. I worked on the Japanese Tetsubo weapon line, working mainly in Maya and Substance Painter, and closely alongside Steven to maintain a consistent and high quality style throughout each weapon. So I'm going to pass it on. Kyle, thank you.
My name is Kyla from Motocroft. This is my first semester with Life or Death, and I was the main UI artist. So these are all the assets that I mainly put into the game, including shopkeep, UI, objective, all different buttons for different realm things, and here's Jimmy to close it up.
Sincerely want to thank you guys for coming out and taking time out of your busy schedules. If you would like, you can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. It's Not So Nice Gaming, and our Facebook is just Life or Death Game. I'm assuming I'm not good at that stuff. Thank you for your time. You guys have a great day.
All right, so Looters of the Arcane are next, and then following them will be Guardian's Legacy.
Crazy. I got it.
Yeah, I know. I thought of that. Ha! Still recording. What now, nerd?
Nice.
Oh my god.
Go team.
Hello everyone, my name is Regis Jerry. I am the project lead for Looters of the Arcane, and I would like to welcome you to this AOA instructional presentation. Now for this, you are the looters. Your job is to work here at AOA. AOA stands for Arcane Object Acquisitions. Your job is to go back in time and to secure these arcane objects and bring them back so that we can sell them for lots and lots of money. Now, why are we giving you a gun? Don't worry about that. You shouldn't have to use it. It's only for emergency purposes. By joining the AOA team, you're going to get to visit exotic locations such as outside of this room. Outside this room, you can find a lot of different areas in the hub. We have an RC car track where you can learn how to drive an RC car for the very first time. It's a little bit old school, but you'll enjoy it. There's a basketball court. Currently, we only have an actual basket, but we're working on getting that upgraded soon. Now, once you end up traveling back in time, you can visit places like 1945 and the Asylum. There are tormented spirits. The arcane object has turned everything in the entire building crazy. eyes start popping out of the walls at you, and some of the enemies can only be killed by the world itself. It's definitely terrifying, but don't worry, you're going to be okay. Now, with ancient Egypt, I really enjoyed visiting this place because the personality just felt so calm. For some reason, the pharaoh kept jumping out of the wall at me, but it was okay. He didn't bug me. In feudal Japan, we do have a Shinigami mask that kind of pops out every now and again. He kind of spun me around every now and again. I don't know why, but the ghost swords, they were hopping around the walls. It was just so playful. And then I didn't like ancient Greece because for some reason the walls, some of them were solid, some of them weren't. I just couldn't figure out how to walk around in that place. And then this is the final place that you're going to get to visit. It's the Caribbean. It's one of our prides and joy because it's just so chaotic. It's like riding a roller coaster, except you don't have a seatbelt. Now I'd like to introduce our current lead looters. You have myself, and then Ian Favreau.
Hello everyone, thank you Drew. My name is Ian Favreau, I'm lead artist of Looters of the Arcane. I've been on the project for about 3 semesters now, and the first semester was kind of rough because I was the only artist on the team. But in doing so, I learned that I really like collaboration more than anything. So for that reason, I'm really excited to, or I'm really proud of him because he and Sarah did a lot of the art for the hub world and Japan, and basically everything you see here. We modeled in 3ds Max, we textured in Substance Painter, and yeah, I'm just really proud of them. They did their complex centerpieces their first art class, which is crazy because they haven't even taken the second art class and they know how to texture, so they're already ahead of the game. I'm really proud of them, so your chance.
Unfortunately, Sarah Bauman isn't able to make it today. However, without her as the design lead, I would have had a much harder job than I already had because she was able to back me up and relay to the design team what I would have wanted to happen with the game, and that just helped me out far too much. Not to mention the fact she was doubling this on top of already being a full-time artist on the team. So without her, the design team probably would have ended up lost, and I'm just glad that she was able to be on the team. Up next, we have Chance Sweeney.
Hello everyone, my name is Chance Sweeney. I am a game design major working as an artist on Looters of the Arcane. I've made a wide variety of assets with the help of Ian for the hub world, the Japan level, as well as our new pirate level. Some examples of the stuff I've made include the stuff for the basketball court, the shooting range for the hub world, the katana and the Shinigami mask for the Japanese level, as well as the shipwreck and the treasure chest for the pirate level. Thank you for your time, but now I must pass the baton.
Hello, my name is Ethan Page, and I am a programmer here at AOA. During my tenure here, I helped create things such as a targeting system for naval cannons that helps filtrate between 2 various sets of enemies and do different things to them upon impact. On top of that, I also helped create a localized temporal anomaly generator, colloquially known as a pause menu. Now I'll pass it over to another programmer I work very closely with.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Miguel Hernandez, and I was the software architect for Looters. I'm the reason why you have all those weird things occurring in all the levels. And I'd like to pass on to our gameplay programmer, Brandon.
I'm Brandon. I'm a multiplayer programmer. I was the only one, and having never done it before, it was a treat. But I learned a lot and got the game a full gameplay that was now working online.
Angela Robinson was one of our online programmers. What she ended up doing in the project was a lot of the mini games that we find in both the hub world and also in Japan. Without that, the levels' personalities would have felt a little bit bland, but she really brought them to life. And then I'll pass it on to Sebastian.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Escobedo. I'm one of the artists of the Looters Arcane, and I have made the Tormented Spirits for the Solheim map, and also I am currently working on the pirate enemy for the Caribbean map. I'd like to pass it to
Hello, my name is Austin Rosefeld. During my time as an AOA designer, I mostly spent most of my time implementing 3D assets and textures into the hub world that you saw earlier. And then once I was done with that, I moved on to documentation, level design, and I touched on set design for the Caribbean level before we passed it off to Dylan Combs. But I would like to pass it off to Dylan Chapman.
One of the Dylans.
I'm Dylan Chapman. I was a level designer for Looters of the Arcane, and I worked on the Greece and Japan level mostly, and worked really closely with Angela to make sure all her mini games were working correctly in the levels. And I'm going to pass it to the other Dylan.
Hello, I'm Dylan Combs. I primarily started in QA for this game and setting up a system for how bugs should be recorded, and later worked on level design for the Caribbean level, which is going quite nicely. So just pass it to this man, Nicholas.
Alright, my name is Nicholas Buckley. I was in charge of marketing. Primarily took over the Twitter and Facebook pages while running those, getting content out, trying to find more looters. And I look for more places to market and just try to build up a following for the game before we launch it.
Anyways, now that your orientation is taken care of, I'll bring up some of the footage from Looters in the past. And then I planned for this because I knew it was going to not work. Because of course it doesn't work the one time that you want it to. Anyway, so if anybody has any questions about the game at all, now would be the perfect time to be able to ask them. If not, enjoy the trailer. And then guys, if any of you guys see something that you were really proud of, make sure you
Oh, by the way, this man made all the music for this video.
Yeah, the fun fact about that was one of the few things where a designer made a mistake, and we decided to keep it because it was too much fun. And then for anybody who hasn't heard any of my spiels before, each of the levels has its own personality. So when you go to the asylum, the actual personality is supposed to feel crazy, or in Egypt, it's supposed to feel passive-aggressive. So we designed everything to operate off of those personality types. Anyways, I would like to thank you for your time, and then here is our social media. Of course, it wouldn't have better. Okay, something's breaking over here. Whoops.
MLG, let's go.
Anyways, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and then if you wanted to be able to play the build before we end up getting it up on Steam, it is up on itch.io right now. Anyways, thank you for your time. I'd like to pass it over to Kyle.
Alright, we got Guardians Legacy now, and then Dawn of the Dreadnoughts next.
Why does the
morning, everyone. I'm Kyle Davis. I'm the project lead for Guardians Legacy. We are an RPG game, but before I get into more of the intricacies of what the game is, I'd like to let you know about some of our success this semester. This was our first semester in production studio, and we managed to get to nothing to full minimum viable product within one semester. We feel that that was a great accomplishment because the team put in quite a lot of work. Now, onto what the game actually is. It's an RPG that uses a lot of unconventional mechanics you don't normally see. We have things from a customizable skill system where you craft your own skills, to being able to avoid overworld enemies, so if you don't want to fight, you don't have to our game being completely persistently loaded, so that you don't see a loading screen until you go into a dungeon or a building. Along with that, we have a very interesting story that goes away from the traditional, I'm going to tell one character's story, and we're going to have our character follow through multiple adventurers' stories and see his impact along the way. Now, for all of these, I'd like to show the team that actually made this happen. So, I'd like to introduce our first developer, Alex Skipper.
Good morning, everyone. I am, as Kyle has just said, Alex Skipper. I am a designer in charge of world building, lore creation, and story progression. I am one of the individuals working closely with Kyle and the rest of the designers to help us create a world that you'd actually, once you're in, want to learn more about, and make a story that makes more sense as you play through it. I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, though, so I'm going to hand it over to Peter over here. You guys have a good day. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, everyone. I'm Peter Dibbles, lead designer. I'm Connor Fish. And I'm Austin Monocross. This semester, the designers have been hard at work building something that not only we can be proud of, but something that we want you to fall in love with as much as we have. Personally, a lot of my time has gone into building level designing our hub town, and as well as building smaller UI systems and
so I have mainly been working as the sound designer for the team. I've been working closely with our composer to make sure the music fits the tone and story of the game. And I've also been working on a lot of documentation for certain UI elements, because that's very important in an RPG.
And I've been working on the node-based skill creation system. I've been working on the UI, expanding, sharpening, and polishing that system. I've also worked on the overworld skill usage, allowing the player to use skills outside of combat to solve puzzles and traverse the world in a creative and exciting way. I'd like to pass it off to the art team so they can talk a little bit about what they've been working on.
Good morning. My name is Mikhail Farrell. I'm the art lead.
Hi, I'm Brent Lima, artist. And I'm Zachary Penn, primary texture artist.
And with a blank slate, we were able to visualize Guardians Legacy in a mid to late 890s RPG style. As the art lead, I was in charge of dealing with the style guide for current and future artists. On my own time, I was making the character model, the wilderness, the UI art, and the splash screen.
As Michaela handled the wilderness, I was to handle the hub city to match our new style for the style guide. Throughout the weeks of modeling, I first experienced Unwrap for the first time there, taking texture classes. With the help of these two, I was managed to learn, get better familiarized with the Unwrap process, and hand off the texture. Well, thank you, my friend, and indeed, thanks to Michaela's very nice leadership and with this fine gentleman's excellent modeling, I managed to take what we had and build many of the textures that we see here from scratch, and in that process grew to love and want to even master the beautiful art of substance painter and designer.
And with that, we'll pass the torch on to the programmers.
Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, we are the programming team. I'm Travis Bodie.
I'm Devin Garrett.
I'm Mayor Thomasel.
And Christopher Kuhn.
And I worked mainly on creating the inventory system for our game, as you can see here, as well as creating with Chris the combat loop and how turns actually work in combat. And finally, I worked on creating or implementing the player's ability to use his skills outside of combat, like his teleport ability. And with that, I'll pass on.
Yeah. Alright. This semester, I was responsible for the creation of the targeting system in combat that allows you to target multiple enemies with a single attack, or the same enemy multiple times to unleash a devastating attack against them. I also worked to create resource and location persistence for a clean swap into and out of combat, and I also worked with Reyna in order to create the basis for our customizable skill system. To talk more about that skill system, I'd like to pass off to Reyna.
Thank you. This semester I worked on the customizable skill system. Along with Devin, I worked on building the front-end UI, all the things that the player interacts with and uses with the skill system. I also worked on the back end that lets our skill system actually interact with our other systems in the game. Beyond that, I built the very first foundation of our combat system, and then passed it off to Travis and Chris to work on and polish to its current state. To talk more about that, I'm going to pass on to Chris.
So I was responsible for a lot of the implementations and all the building and getting everything functioning and working together, as well as creating all the overworld mechanics, everything going on in the overworld, the character movement, camera controls, that kind of stuff. I was also responsible for the combat and the feedback loop that's provided to the player. With that, we're going to hand it back to Kyle so he can give us a good outro.
Alright, so with that, we're also going for Greenlight, so I'd like to talk a little bit about what we would like to accomplish next semester if we do get in, which is getting to our minimum viable product up to feature complete. We'd like to get to that, along with starting on our content creation to be able to get our full experience done for an alpha as we plan to develop further. Along with this, we're going to need a few more artists, get 1 to 2 more coders, and a technical designer. But with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and here's our contact information, and invite any of you to our playtest out in the commons as we go along. Thank you very much.
Alright, next is Dawn of the Dreadnoughts, followed by Gangs of Graffiti.
Someone closed. Oh, that's. Where's the freeze button? It was closed. No, I think it. I think
Jerry
someone
close
closed
your
it.
tab?
Oh no, it's okay.
Blame Jerry.
Really fast.
Come back.
It
Yeah, I did get signed out.
Didn't freeze it, John. It's not crazy.
You know your password already.
Remember that just freezes the projector. It's still broadcast.
It's on the video.
Still on the video.
Someone sign me out. I'm sorry, can I restart this whole thing? This is gonna...
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, no, I got it.
He's got it.
Okay.
The ages of man are not defined by wars fought, or the ideals fought for, but the weapons forged to fight them. Good morning, everyone. My name is John Cavasi. I am the project lead for Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. Dawn of the Dreadnoughts is a game in which you, the player, have the ability to command units that fight valiantly on the hull of your dreadnought. You have the ability to build over 20 different building units and structures while at the same time flying your massive dreadnought class capital ship. You are the real captain of a real life dreadnought. Before I introduce my lead programmer, I would like to highlight the work done by our online designer, Chris. Chris was instrumental in the development process by implementing various game systems, implementing UI, and keeping up with our documentation. I could not be more proud of the work that was done by this designer. And now, without further ado, I would like to pass it on to my lead programmer, Nathan Scott.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everybody. As our games continue to grow and evolve, so has our team. I've gotten to personally oversee the development and growth that my programming team has put forth this semester, and I couldn't be more proud of what they've accomplished. As for me, myself, I helped plan and engineer some of the features we worked on this semester. I also was the build master and kind of the knowledge guru. I did a lot of the behind the scenes work. These guys did so much work that I really couldn't have gotten what I did done without them taking on all the responsibility they did. In order to allow them to discuss the features that they worked on, I'm going to start by introducing Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony Antonello. I'm the building functionality programmer for Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. And as such, this semester I had to reorganize and streamline our building code in order to get functioning queue and build timer in place, as well as a health and shield bar for both the units and buildings on the player and enemy dreadnoughts. And I wouldn't have been able to test any of my functionality without the help of Merlin Call.
And I'm the UI and combat programmer for Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. What this means is that for the UI aspect, it was resulted in me having to go through and streamlining the UI that we have, and also putting in things that can make life easier, like a keybind manager that saves it and such. And for the combat, it was creating a system from the ground up that allows the units to pick their targets, attack the targets, chase them if they flee, and if they get out of range, reach, re-pick a new target, and then attack. And talking more about the AI is needed.
Everybody, my name is Manager. I created the AI that determines the ship's behavior. That's basically what it is. It's actually pretty awesome. Put in a lot of work into it, and it's actually very exciting to see it all play out.
As I've already said, I couldn't be more proud of the work that these guys did over the course of the semester. But our work wouldn't be showable without the contributions of our art team. So I'm going to pass it over to our lead artist, Daniel.
Thank you, Nate. Hello, my name's Daniel McCord. I'm the lead artist for Dawn of the Dreadnought. This semester, building upon the foundation our coders have submitted, me and my fellow artists were given a blank canvas in which to start populating. To talk more about the contributions, I'd like to pass it off to one of my fellow artists, Nick.
Hello everyone, my name is Nick Otis. My main focal point for this semester was to create stylized 2D art assets for various command menus. I was also in charge of creating a few 3D models alongside Michael Nicholson.
I'm Michael Nicholson. I'm one of the artists on Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. I had the pleasure of creating a lot of the bay assets. This includes the drone bay, the hangar bay, and the mech bay. Along the way, I had to learn Substance Painter, which was tough but very much enjoyable process. Our team very loved to focus on collaboration. We always piggybacked off of each other. We always looked to each other for ideas. But none of that would have been possible without Daniel, our lead art.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge one of our online contributors, Anton Iman, who's worked valiantly on marine and mech titanized assets, along with rigging them for future preparations. As for my own contributions, I worked on aerial units along with the ship cannons and various particle effects. But cruising along, I like to shift things back to John.
Thank you, Daniel. Over the past 15 weeks, my team and I have learned and achieved more than we've ever had. And to pass the torch on, figuratively and literally, I would like to name Nathan Scott as the successor to me for Dawn of the Dreadnoughts.
Let me turn this thing off. Whatever, I have a lit torch now. Thanks, John. I couldn't be more honored to take over the project lead role for Dawn of the Dreadnoughts. We would like to come back into the studio for next semester. We'd really like to focus a lot of dev time on building a proper pathfinding AI system for our units so that they can move around on the hulls of our dreadnoughts and from ship to ship. We would also like to work on AI improvements, finish polishing off our 3D and 2D art assets, as well as start aggressively play testing and balancing and just making sure that the user experience is top notch. In order to do that, we would like to get a couple more programmers, a couple more artists, and wow, where did that go? Apologies. And maybe one more designer. 3D artists, especially if you like to texture, come talk to me. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be out in the Commons playtesting. Please come talk to us, play our game, and meet the team.
Yeah, Gangs of Graffiti is next, and then last we'll have Gray Area before we take a 10-minute break.
Thank you, though.
Donald, you just do that. You just keep it going. He's our camera guy. Stay focused.
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Dakota Stoner, and I am the project lead of Gangs of Graffiti. Okay, Gangs of Graffiti is a multiplayer arena shooter based in a comic book world where a gang war has broken out in Neo Lotus. As a player, you will be tasked with joining a gang and fighting the other players and gangs to claim turf and paint the town to make people know more about your gang. So over the semester, we've worked on better improving the multiplayer, so you can actually go in and fight people and have different types of game modes. So this one that we're currently playing on is Elimination. It's team deathmatch where you fight each other until one of the team runs out of lives, and then it will trigger a game over. And we're going to go ahead and skip that, and I'm going to hand it over to my team.
Hi, I'm Enrique Garcia. I'm a 2D artist, game designer, UI designer as well. So during this whole process, this whole semester, I worked on the main menu for Gangs of Graffiti. I tried to make Gangs of Graffiti look as pretty as possible and try to make the title of the game as memorable as possible. So I worked really hard on trying to create that design for the logo. As for the main menu, I did all the design work, and luckily for me, I had great programmers to really flesh that out and make my dreams come to fruition. So thank you for that.
I'm John Wade Miller. I was a level designer on the project. I built this level from the ground up, from the documentation phase to paper mapping through whiteboxing and implementation of art assets from the art team, as well as implementing programming features from the programming team as well.
the goal for this level is to introduce a lot of verticality and give players a lot of control over that through various means in the level. And I think that really worked out with some of the programming features and having the environment be highly vertical. Here's artist Victoria, thank you.
I'm Victoria. I'm an artist, as the beautiful title screen says. So the first half of the semester, I worked on assets for the city level, as you can see here, and here. I worked with James because I didn't realize how much white boxing was done in that level. So I wanted to get buildings done since it was just white boxes. I also did little 2D assets that acted as ads on the bus stop and billboards and such. And then the second half of the semester, I worked on the construction level with Wade, made some plywood, drywall, safety netting, stuff like that. And then I also did the pickups for the ammo and the health pack, as you can see right there.
Hello everyone, my name is Isaiah Sanchez. I'm a game programmer. This semester I worked on getting 3D and third person and first person, being able to toggle it so players can choose which view they liked better. I also worked on the elevator for Wade's construction level so they can get up and down those levels. And I also worked on a turret so you can mount and mow down the other players with your Wade.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, a designer. This semester I was kind of all over the place working on a level, still working on it, called Chikaro Temple. I also made a few of the logos for some of the games that we have, as well as the main city logo for the Neo Lotus City as well. I actually worked with our artist James on that, which I will pass the torch on to right now.
Okay, before James, we have another designer, Jordan Leong. He isn't currently able to be here, but he worked on getting a new game mode designed out and was trying his hand at a bunch of sound design, trying to get a good feel of the music and all that the Gangs of Graffiti would have.
My name is James Matthew. I'm the lead artist for the project. I mainly worked on our main city level, creating some character models, some of the animations, as well as some of the assets in the actual level, and working on lighting and social media. So in this video, we see some artwork that I've done, as well as the other artists, Victoria and Justine.
Good morning, I'm Chris Elliott. I was the designer for the Italy level. In this level, I wanted to create a wide open space that we could utilize some of the vehicle models that we decided to put in. But to help balance it out and make sure that the inventory doesn't feel completely overpowered, all of the buildings that are in the play area are a single floor and allow you to go in and out of them and have a nice, well thought out floral layout so that way no one feels trapped in any specific room and they can get in and out and be able to help flank any vehicles or move about the buildings for cover. And I couldn't have done all of this wonderful work without my good friend Justine over here, who is my artist.
Hi, I'm Justine. I was the artist mainly for doing the Italy level. I did a bit of assets on the other levels as well. I mainly did 3D modeling and was learning a lot under James, which I thank him a lot for. Thank you for your time.
My name is Deshaun Phillips. I was also a designer for the team as well. I worked on an arena level where basically I just built an arena to make it simpler, easier for players just to jump in, shoot around, and basically have fun. And then with that being said, I want to go ahead and head it over to Dakota to finish everything off.
Okay, that is currently everything we have. So if you go to infinitivegames.com/gangsofgraffiti, you'll be able to find our build, and you can look at our progress to get a hold of us at Facebook at Gangs of Graffiti Gang or Twitter at Gangs Graffiti. Thank you.
All right, last we have gray area, followed by the 10-minute break. Make sure you get back on time.
Oh. It's backwards of what you're seeing, and that makes it difficult to think about.
Everybody in order? There you go. All right.
You've been lied to all your lives. June 14th, 1947. A man by the name of William Brazel, working on the Foster Ranch in New Mexico, wakes up and discovers a field of debris from some unknown spacecraft. Now, William Brazel was no expert, but even he could tell the electronics found in the debris was far beyond anything humans could create. Not knowing what to do, he made a mistake. He called the sheriff. The sheriff called soldiers from the Roswell Army Air Force Base, and thus began a decades-long cover-up by the United States government. Gray Area, originally concepted by our shareholders, Doug Doyne and Daryl Twoffer, a pair of industry veterans with a combined decades of experience, challenged the student team they were working with currently to create a prototype over a 48-hour game jam. Then they brought me on to take the project into Greenlight, and we've spent the last couple of semesters building out what we want to show off to you today. And I will pass it over to the team to share their contributions and their successes.
All right, the events immediately prior to the start of the game are detailed in our opening cinematic, which has been shortened for this presentation. Hello, my name is Kalana Lee. I am one of the designers. As we get into the game here, I want to mention we are working on the minimum viable product. Some of the work, as I've done on the first time user experience, will be used in the full game, but are outside of the scope of the build we are showing.
Hi, I'm Christian VC. I did the animations and the rigging for the character. Now the Gray is a completely non-violent creature, so he needs to use stealth tactics and employs amazing psionic abilities in order to evade capture.
Stealth is the main mechanic in our game. Hi, I'm Travis Corson. I'm the lead level designer in the team. I built the crash site that you're seeing currently. It was very important for us to create a level that was both memorable to the player and also worked with our mechanic.
Hello everyone, I'm Tyler Harper. I created a lot of the foliage that you'll see throughout the crash site. We had a high emphasis on authenticity to keep it looking realistic to the area.
Hello, my name is Kylie Atkins. I'm the art lead for Gray Area, and I updated the UI as well as made the vehicles you can see in the crash site. One of our main goals for this semester was to ensure that our soldiers and the weapons that they use were era accurate to support the realism that we are doing in the game.
So since you'll be seeing the soldiers a lot, it was important to make sure that they were accurate. So I went ahead and spearheaded the change to the animations. I also created a number of environmental assets, including the sand texture that you see before you.
So after reading the minds of the humans, the Gray knows enough to influence the minds of the soldiers and disguise itself. Hello, my name is Brant Wagner and I'm a programmer. I worked on fixes for the gameplay and UI systems in addition to our loading. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Stanley Albert and I'm a game art intern in Gray Area. So when I first started off on the team, I was in charge of making various props for the soldiers, and they aren't at the crash site right now, but you will see them later on in the build when it comes down to the actual air base. But then I finished off by working on the actual ship itself by retexturing it and lowering the poly count on it.
And when psionics and stealth don't work, the soldiers have one directive: shoot to kill and ask questions later. Hi, I'm Garrett Yin, gameplay programmer and motion capture tech. I was in charge of the soldiers aiming and firing and the effect.
Hello everybody, I'm Nathan Silva, one of the junior level designers. After escaping the crash site, the Gray heads to the ranch, which is the second point of interest in the MVP. This semester I was working with most of the terrain smoothing and shaping, and as you can see in the ranch.
So, now you know the truth. But, as we know, the government uses those black helicopters to send radio frequencies to wipe your mind. But, what you can't do with you can't do it with radio frequencies, is destroy physical objects. So, if you'll all look down and to your left on the front of the chairs, you will find a little memento, built from the same polymer as the aircraft, the crashed saucer of the Grays. You'll notice that it's both magnetic and, when subjected to heat, will actually change in color. For those of you in the back, there's a bunch of extra ones in the front, so come on down and grab those after the presentations. Thank you. Oh, I almost, no, they're not again! All right. So, Gray Area will be pitching for Greenlight next semester. We want to streamline the repo. We want to rebase our code, basically get rid of all the problems that we've been having to deal with this semester, as well as iterating on the ranch to bring it up to that quality level that you saw at the crash site, as well as improving on our gameplay systems. I'll be handing the project over to Jacqueline Bartlett, who will take on his lead as I step back and help with the faculty to support all of the projects. We thank you for your time.
All right, we'll take a 10-minute break. Be back at 11:43.
I say you scared to start what I say. I need it. But thank you for the opportunity. It's not like you guys greenlit me for a fourth one.